Hello, I'm Jordan. Excuse me, I'm Jordan, and this is Clark. It's a little antsy right now. I'm going to do a tag today. This was created by the great Jim over at Jim's Books, Reading and Stuff. I was kindly tagged by Christina over at Books, Knitting, etc. And it is the A tag. So I'll hop right into it. The prompt number one is A is for America. What do you consider the great what do you consider the great American novel? I think the answer to this has to be Huck Finn by Mark Twain, I think, but just to keep things interesting, I'm going to go with Mason and Dixon by Thomas Pynchon. Not Thomas and Pynchon, Thomas Pynchon. This is I just talked about this in my last video, actually. It's just an inexhaustible book, and it has so much to say about America's formative years, but also the ideas behind America, and also the ideas behind the way we look at America, or the way we look at history, and also personal history as well as social national history. Like I said, there's just new things to be found in this every time I read it, and I've read it several times. Prompt 2 is A is for arc. Which character in literature has the most interesting character arc? There's a lot of great answers for this, obviously. What came to mind for me, personally, is because I read it recently, is Saul from the Old Testament. I believe he was in Samuel 1 and 2, I think. I didn't actually go check. But he, other than probably Jacob from Genesis, and of course God himself, is the most interesting character I've come across so far in the Old Testament. I've been reading this throughout the year. And what's interesting about him, I think, is that he is so relatable and tragic in a lot of ways. He's not a very sympathetic character, surely, but also, I mean, I think he kind of is to a certain extent, because he starts out as God's chosen king, and he squanders that, and he becomes this very petty, paranoid person as a result. And it's just I think he's a more interesting character than David, his replacement, for me, anyways. So that's a character I will be returning to, I think, in the future. Prompt number 3 is A is for Abby, which is the name of Jim's beagle. And then Steve turned it into Show Your Pets or Cats, so that's why I had Clark earlier. I did have another rat. He sadly died just the other day, so that's kind of a bummer. I'll probably be getting more in the next week or two, because it's not a good idea just to have a single rat. They're highly social creatures. Prompt 3 is A is for Australia. What is the last book you read by an Australian author? That was Picnic at Hanging Rock by Joan Lindsay, which I really enjoyed a lot, probably more even than I thought I would. It's a very strange, atmospheric, odd book, and it's also, what I wasn't expecting is that it's kind of funny. The tone of it is very ironic at times, while still having this very mystical ambiguity to it. It's a strange combination, and something that I read this because I wanted to see the movie, and when I watched the movie I was quite disappointed. I don't think it captured that feel for me, anyways, at all. So that was a great book, Picnic at Hanging Rock, which does take place in Australia. Prompt number 4, prompt number 4 is A is for Austen. What do you plan to read for Jane Austen July? Nothing. Last year I read Pride and Prejudice, and I was quite disappointed. I understand I need to give her another shot at some point, because she's so well loved, but I don't know. Life's short. There's so many books I want to read before I die, and I don't want to waste any time on a book that I don't care for, because I do stupidly force myself to finish every book that I start, and I was just so bored by Pride and Prejudice that I am going to give myself some time before I try Jane Austen again. I think what I will try is Persuasion, because I've heard from a few people that that is the book that might appeal to me most from hers, so that's probably what I'll read next, but it's going to be a ways down the road, I think. 5 is A is for automobile. What is your favorite literary automobile? I couldn't think of a single one. Yeah, sorry, nothing came to mind for that. 7 is A is for autobiography. What was the last autobiography you read? I don't think I've ever read an autobiography. I'm recently, within the last year or so, I've really gotten into nonfiction, particularly history, but as of yet, I've never actually read an autobiography. I've read a couple biographies, but never yet an auto, so hopefully I'll get to that soon. Honestly, though, it doesn't particularly appeal to me, the idea of that. Maybe a memoir does a little more, but an autobiography, it just seems like, it's kind of like the reason I don't like very recent history, is I think you need some distance. For me, anyways, I think you need some distance in order to write convincingly about it, and certainly you can't write convincingly about yourself, I don't think, unless you're using it in a more poetic form of a memoir. But like I said, I've never read one, so I could be way off there. Prompt 8, the final prompt is, A is for audiobooks. Do you consider listening to an audiobook as reading? I mean, no, not technically, but I don't think it's helpful to split hairs. If someone says they read a book, and it turns out what they mean is they listened to the audiobook, I don't think that means that they didn't read it, you know? It's just kind of mean-spirited, I think. I think they experienced the book, which is what's meant by the question, have you read it? For me, I can't do audiobooks personally because I am an extremely slow thinker. I have a hard time even having conversations with people, so when I'm listening to an audiobook, I lose track of what's going on extremely quickly. I need to really, really take my time with a text in order to understand what's being said. So I can't do it personally, but it's reading. Not technically, but for all intents and purposes, I would say it is reading. So anyways, that is the A tag. Sorry about the dark lighting, by the way. It's 90 degrees today here in Portland, and I don't have an AC, so I just have the blinds closed and the fan going. Anyways, sorry, a little scatterbrained. So thank you to Christina for tagging me, and thank you for watching. I'm not going to tag anyone because this has been around for a while, and I feel like everyone's already done it, but if you haven't done it and you want to, please feel free to do it and let me know. And yeah, thanks for watching.